Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU as best I know how to screw up. That's right, screwed up. While studying on my next set of videos talking about the Rebellion era, I failed to mention one story that takes place before A New Hope. Now, it was kind of funny because I remembered it happening and I thought it happened during the Rebellion era. But once I reviewed it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. This happened before the movie. So let me just take a step back and talk about this one, and then I'll talk about the other book I want to talk about. The first one is called Way of the Wookie. It's written by Archie Goodwin, and it was in the Star Wars Weekly, I think number 94 through 96. Now, in this story, Han and Chewie go on a spice run at Foremost, where they encounter Haronk. He's an old enemy of Chewbacca. Oh no, what's going to happen? Of course, the Imperials are in the mix there, and so they're on the run from Imperials as well, and it's a pretty decent story. Now, Archie Goodwin is someone that I'll be talking about for quite some time in the next few weeks, because a lot of his stuff will come next. So I don't really want to talk about him right now. I do want to mention a few things here. The first one is Jabba is mentioned as Jabba the Hutt with one T, and that was very common back then because everyone knew Jabba was around. They knew Jabba was a Hutt. They didn't know how to spell Hutt. George Lucas hadn't released Return of the Jedi at this time, so there were some common misspellings, but that is to be expected. But one cool thing about this story is it stars, well, it doesn't star, I guess, but one of the villains is Colonel Qort. Now, Colonel Qort is the villain in this one, but he's also gets a mention in Rebel Dawn by A.C. Crispin. Han Solo actually mentions running into Colonel Qort. So A.C. Crispin, again, going back to her story, she made sure to include a lot of previous Han stories that already happened. And for some reason, she decided to take up this newspaper strip and make it into a, just connect it to her story. It was really cool. Another reason why the EU is so awesome, because it connects everything. Old newspaper strips from the 80s to, newer books 10, 15, 16 years later, I think. So that's kind of a cool little connection there. Now, we'll talk about those comic strips in much more detail, and don't worry, they've all been reprinted. But let's first off go to my next piece in the chronological order. After A New Hope, Star Wars, it would be Empire issue number 14, the comic book, by Paul Alden. Now, in this book, Vader's fighter has crashed on a savage planet. Remember, he got shot out into space by Luke. So, he's trying to, he gets control of his TIE fighter and he starts flying off into hyperspace to, go back and join the Empire. But of course, his TIE is damaged. And so he crashes on a nearby planet. Of course, it's full of dangerous beasts. He must fight his way to get to that Imperial outpost. He knows there's one on the planet. That's why he went there. And the Imperials who are on that outpost aren't really the sharpest, tools in the shed. So it's a cool little story. I remember reading it, and reading Empire, I was kind of confused of where Empire was going. Remember, I had bought these later on in trade paperback just to read them because I thought it was garbage, but then I decided to give it another shot. And so this is one of the stories I was like, okay, well, this is an interesting story. I don't think they told this one yet. To my knowledge, they hadn't. And so I did enjoy it. Is it just fantastic? No, it's nothing, awesome. I mean, if you like Vader, he does some cool things. But this is kind of, at the time, they weren't running Vader comic books into the ground like they were later on. I think that this was the beginning of all that. But anyway, it is a decent book. So those are the things I want to talk about today, and I will see you next time with another video.